Well, good evening. NATO allies here are trying to show the world that NATO is stronger than ever, despite what my White House colleague said, a big war still remaining on its eastern flank and clear uncertainty as who will be the next president of the United States. President Joe Biden is going to mark the occasion of NATO's 75th anniversary just a few minutes down the road at Mellon Auditorium, and that is where the initial signing of the North Atlantic Treaty was in 1949. And he is, in addition to welcoming that occasion, he is also going to be welcoming Sweden in as the 32nd member of NATO. NATO is the largest it's ever been, and officials are saying that the mission of NATO is just as important now as it was when it was put together in 1949. That mission was to stop the Soviet Union from expanding into Eastern Europe. And with Russia invading Ukraine, they look at that and they say NATO is definitely still relevant.
So, Carla, this is the 75th anniversary, as you mentioned. It's really a milestone when it comes to anniversaries. What are the main focuses of this year's summit?
Well, I'm hearing three main focuses at this summit. The first is commitments matter. They are looking to shore up defense spending for all of the 32 allies. They made a commitment, all of the member nations made a commitment to increase their defense spending to 2% of their GDP by 2024. 23 of the 32 nations have done that. There will be a lot of praise for those nations, a lot of pressure on those who haven't. The second thing that they want to focus on, I'm being told, is that Ukraine matters. Even though Ukraine is not in NATO, officials are telling me that it's not a matter of if Ukraine will join NATO, but when Ukraine will join NATO. And President Joe Biden, when he meets with President Zelensky of Ukraine, he wants to reassure President Zelensky that membership will be coming, even though it's not coming this year. There's also an increased push for support for Ukraine. The U.S. really stood up the Ukraine Defense Contact Group and took the lead to gather nations together, more than 50 nations together, to support Ukraine. But in the future, they want to make sure that it's not just the United States doing that NATO can handle that as well. And the final thing that they are looking into is a commitment that allies matter. I mean, Russia has been using increased cooperation with Iran, China, and North Korea. That's why it's not just NATO allies here. They're bringing in Indo-Pacific nations, New Zealand, Australia, South Korea, and Japan to come and meet as well to show that democracies will be defended.